Jason had always thought his girlfriend, Lila, was a little out of this world. She had an uncanny ability to parallel park, could calculate restaurant tips faster than his calculator app, and made his mother's lasagna recipe taste better than his mother's lasagna. But Jason had chalked these quirks up to Lila being exceptionally talented, not, as he would soon discover, extraterrestrial. It was a Wednesday and Jason came home early from work for the first time in months. The office's server had crashed, and since no one could email, Slack or Google anything, productivity hit an all-time low. His boss waved everyone off with a cheerless, "Enjoy the rest of your day," or whatever, "Just don't go out looking for aliens." Everyone rolled their eyes and sighed. The boss loved his little jokes at the end of the day. Jason pushed open the door to his apartment, expecting the usual. Lila cooking something that smelled suspiciously better than food commercials made things look, or her working out some impossibly difficult Sudoku while humming off-key. What he didn't expect was the sound of Leonard Nimoy's voice emanating from the living room. "Lila," Jason called, setting his keys on the counter. "Are you home?" No answer. He walked toward the living room, but his footsteps faltered as he heard Spock's stoic baritone advising Captain Kirk. Rounding the corner, he was greeted by an unexpected sight. His girlfriend, perched on the couch in her, well, it was her, but it wasn't. Sitting there was a Lila-shaped figure, but instead of her usual chestnut hair and hazel eyes, she had tentacles. Slender, shimmery purple tentacles. They sprouted where her arms should have been, and her skin had turned a pale shade of turquoise. Her eyes were now 3 large orbs that gleamed like molten gold. To top it off, she was wearing one of his old college sweatshirts, which somehow made the whole scene weirder. Lila, or what he assumed was Lila, didn't notice him at first. She was too engrossed in an episode of Star Trek, the original series, a bowl of popcorn balanced on her lap. One tentacle shoved a handful of kernels into what Jason assumed was her mouth, though it was hard to tell because her face had more folds than he was used to. Jason managed, his voice cracking like a preteen's. Lila froze. Slowly she turned her heads, face folds, toward him. The golden orbs blinked, or at least contracted in a way that seemed blinky, and then her entire body shimmered. In a split second, she morphed back into the Lila he knew, human, gorgeous, and wearing his sweatshirt like it was haute couture. "Jason, you're home early," she said, her voice a pitch higher than usual. She stood and tried to block the TV screen, but it was too late. Spock's stoic face reflected Jason's inner turmoil. What did I just see?" he stammered. Lila's eyes darted around the room like a squirrel caught raiding a bird feeder. "What do you mean? You saw me watching TV? Ha ha, classic me." Jason pointed a trembling finger. "You had tentacles and you were blue, and you have 3 eyes, and—" He paused. "Were you eating popcorn with your face tentacle thing?" Lila sighed, her shoulders slumping. "Okay, fine. You caught me." She plopped back onto the couch. "I'm an alien. What of it? There are a lot of us here. It's no big deal." Jason blinked. "You're joking, right?" "Nope." She grabbed another handful of popcorn. "I'm from Zorblat 9. It's about 3 galaxies over. Great weather, lousy public transit." What? Jason's knees buckled and he collapsed into the armchair. "You're an alien?" "Technically, I'm an interdimensional being," Lila corrected, munching thoughtfully. "But yeah, alien works." "And you've just been living here, pretending to be human?" She shrugged. "I mean, it's not pretending. I've got a legit work visa and everything. Your planet's bureaucracy is weirdly easy to hack. Plus, I really like lasagna." Jason's mouth opened and closed, his brain struggling to process this information. Does anyone else know about this?" "Oh no, I'm very careful. I've got this whole human disguise thing down pat. I only glam when I'm home alone." She gestured at the TV. "Or when I'm binge-watching Star Trek. It's comforting. Kind of like a soap opera, but with space diplomacy, and my favorite character is the Q." Jason stared at her. "You're telling me you're an alien who, moved to Earth to watch Star Trek and eat lasagna?" Lila's eyes sparkled. "Pretty much. Oh, and to study your species, of course." "Study us? For what?" "Research," she said, waving a hand, or what he now suspected was a tentacle in disguise. "My thesis is on interspecies cohabitation. Humans are fascinating, you know. You're like space raccoons. Scrappy, resourceful, and weirdly obsessed with shiny things." Jason bristled. "We're not space raccoons." "Oh, you totally are. I mean, look at your history. You went to the moon just to prove you could and then never went back. Classic raccoon behavior." He rubbed his temples. "This is insane. My girlfriend's an alien. My girlfriend is... Wait, how does this even work? Like, us? Dating?" Lila grinned. "Oh, that part's easy. I've got all the human anatomy stuff figured out. Everything's compatible." She winked, which did nothing to calm Jason's nerves. "But why me?" he asked, still grappling with the revelation. "Out of all the people on this planet, why did you pick me?" She looked at him, her expression softening. "Because you're kind and funny, and you make the best grilled cheese sandwiches I've ever had." "Grilled cheese," he echoed, dumbfounded. "Oh yeah, Zorblatian cuisine is mostly nutrient paste and protein cubes. The concept of melting cheese between two slices of bread? Genius, revolutionary. Honestly, you could win an intergalactic culinary award." Jason didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "So what now? You've been outed. Are you going to wipe my memory or something?" Lila's face, or her human face, fell. "Jason, I'd never do that. I really like you. I kind of hoped you'd be okay with this." "Okay with this?" He gestured wildly. "You're an alien. This isn't some little quirk like finding out you're secretly left-handed or something. You're from a different galaxy. You're a tentacle monster." Lila winced. "That's a bit speciesist." "Sorry," he muttered, sinking deeper into the chair. "This is just a lot to take in." They sat in silence for a moment, the sound of William Shatner's exaggerated line delivery filling the room. Finally, Jason looked at her. "So what happens if I don't know, break up with you? Do you abduct me, dissect me?" Lila laughed. "Oh, please, dissecting people is so last millennium. No, if you want to break up, I'd just leave. Maybe binge Doctor Who for a while to cope, but I'd rather you didn't." Jason studied her, searching for some hint of malice or ulterior motive. But all he saw was the same Lila he'd fallen for, smart, funny, and just a little weird. "Okay," he said finally, "I'll give this a shot, but you have to promise me something." "Anything," she said, her golden orbs, no, her hazel eyes lighting up. "No more secrets. If there's anything else I need to know, tell me now." Lila hesitated. "Well, there is one thing." "What?" She grinned sheepishly. "My mum wants to meet you, and, she's a little traditional." "Traditional how?" Jason asked warily. "Oh, you know," Lila said, waving her hand again. "The usual. Ritualistic chanting, a small test of bravery, maybe a casual blood oath. Nothing too crazy." Jason groaned. "Of course, because why wouldn't your mum be terrifying too?" Lila leaned over and kissed him on the cheek. "Don't worry. She'll love you. Just maybe don't bring up the grilled cheese thing. Zorblatians are lactose intolerant, and she's kind of touchy about it." Jason stared at her, half in disbelief, half in resignation. "You know what? Fine, let's do this. But if she tries to probe me, I'm out." Lila laughed, her human form shimmering slightly as her joy bubbled over. "Deal. Now, want some popcorn? Or are you too weirded out to eat?" Jason reached for the bowl. Popcorn sounds good, but we're watching something else. I've had enough space drama for one day." As Lila queued up a rom-com, Jason couldn't help but smile. Sure, his girlfriend was an alien, but she was his alien, tentacles and all. A week later, Jason came home to a sight that made his initial discovery of Lila's true nature feel downright mundane. The apartment was filled with chatter, laughter, and was that the smell of 3 different lasagnas? "Lila," Jason called, stepping into the living room. The sound of Star Trek played in the background, louder than usual. "Hey, babe," Lila's voice came from the kitchen. She appeared holding a tray of cookies, and behind her trailed 3 other women. No, aliens. Each one shimmered and shifted, their true forms flickering for just a moment before solidifying into various human appearances. One looked like a famous supermodel Jason couldn't quite name. Another had the unnervingly perfect smile of a toothpaste commercial. The third was identical to Lila. Jason froze. "What is happening?" "Oh, this is Zira, Nala, and Vex," Lila said cheerfully, gesturing to her friends. "They're from Zorblat 9, too. I figured since you're cool with me being an alien, you wouldn't mind if they moved in for a bit. They're doing research, too." Jason's jaw dropped. "Moved in? Lila, we didn't even discuss this." "I knew you'd need time to process," she said, patting his arm. "That's why I went ahead and set everything up for you, see? I'm thoughtful like that." Jason glanced around the room, taking in the 4 aliens sprawled on his couch, sharing popcorn and debating whether Kirk or Picard was the better captain. I need to go for a walk." "Take your time," Lila called after him. "We'll save you some lasagna." When Jason returned an hour later, nothing had improved. In fact, the apartment looked even more alien. Glowing orbs floated in the air, emitting soothing hums. One of the women was folding a star chart that looked infinitely long, and they were all still watching Star Trek. Jason cleared his throat. All 4 women, or aliens, or whatever they were, turned to look at him, their eyes briefly shimmering golden before returning to their human disguises. The sudden attention made him feel like he'd walked into a meeting of space overlords. "Hey, Jason," Lila said, smiling like she hadn't just turned his life into an intergalactic sitcom. "How was your walk?" He stared at her, then at the 3 others, who were all grinning with unnerving enthusiasm. "We need to talk." Lila's smile faltered. "Uh-oh, is this about the glowing orbs? They're harmless, I swear. They just keep the air hydrated." Jason pinched the bridge of his nose. "No, Lila, it's not about the orbs. It's about all of this." He gestured to the room, to the aliens, to the distinct hum of something definitely not human happening in his apartment. "You can't just invite 3 more aliens to live here without asking me." "Oh, but Jason," one of the newcomers, Vex, he thought, interjected, her voice dripping with charm. "We're very low maintenance. I can shapeshift into any celebrity you like. Perhaps Scarlett Johansson. Or maybe someone from your history books. Cleopatra is quite popular." Jason blinked. "That's not the point." "Jason, they're not here to inconvenience you," Lila said, stepping closer and placing a hand on his arm. "They just needed a place to stay while they finished their research. And we thought you'd like the company. They can even help with chores." "Help with chores?" Jason repeated, incredulous. "Lila, I can't even handle the fact that you're an alien, let alone the idea of sharing my apartment with 3 more of you." "Oh, I totally get it," Nal said, her voice soothing and melodic. "Adjusting to interspecies cohabitation can be stressful. Maybe I could whip up some Zorblatian tea. It's great for calming nerves." Jason glared at her. "No amount of alien tea is going to fix this." Zira, who had been silent until now, leaned forward and gave him a serious look. "Jason, we're not here to cause you distress. But you should know, we have already encountered Earthlings before." Jason groaned. "Oh, not this again. It's true, Zirar insisted. Captain Kirk visited our solar system decades ago. Well, not your Captain Kirk, but someone claiming to be from Earth. He had the same uniform, the same bravado. He said Earth reverse-engineered alien ships to build their fleet. That's impossible, Jason snapped. Star Trek is fiction. Fictional people don't visit alien worlds. It's just a TV show. The aliens exchanged glances, their human forms flickering briefly. Lila cleared her throat. Jason, I know it's hard to believe, but Zirar's telling the truth. The guy we met said he was on a mission to explore and make peaceful contact. Jason buried his face in his hands. Oh my God! You're telling me that aliens think Star Trek is real? Do you also think the Avengers is an accurate historical record? Well, Nal said thoughtfully, we did intercept a transmission about a purple guy collecting stones, but it seemed far-fetched. Jason let out a strangled laugh, the kind that teetered between humor and complete mental breakdown. Okay, so not only are you all aliens, but now you're telling me Earth's greatest contribution to intergalactic diplomacy was bad sci-fi? To be fair, it's pretty entertaining sci-fi, Lila said, and inspiring. It's why we decided to visit Earth in the first place. Jason threw up his hands. Great! Fantastic! My life is officially an episode of The Twilight Zone. What's next? Are you going to tell me Yoda is running a bar on Saturn? The aliens exchanged another look, and Jason groaned. That was a joke. Please don't tell me Yoda is real. Not Yoda, Vex said, trying to be helpful. But there's a guy on Rigel 7 who could pass for him. Great bartender. Jason sagged into the armchair, his head in his hands. I can't believe this is my life. Lila sat beside him, her expression earnest. Jason, I know this is overwhelming, but we're here now, and we just want to make things work. Give us a chance. Jason looked at her, then at the three other aliens, who all smiled at him with unnerving sincerity. Fine, he said, his voice weary, but there are ground rules. Of course, Lila said, her eyes lighting up. Anything you need. First, Jason said, holding up a finger, no more surprise roommates. 4 aliens are more than enough. The group nodded in unison. Second, no glowing orbs or weird space gadgets lying around. This apartment is already weird enough. Understood, Zirar said, though her tone suggested mild disappointment. And third, Jason said, fixing them with a stern look, no using shape-shifting to mess with me. I don't want to wake up to find Scarlett Johansson or Cleopatra making pancakes in my kitchen. Fair, Vex said, looking slightly deflated. Jason exhaled. Okay, let's see how this goes. But if anyone starts chanting or summoning interdimensional portals, I'm out. The aliens erupted into cheers, and Lila threw her arms around him. You're the best, Jason. I promise you won't regret this. Jason wasn't so sure, but as he sat there, surrounded by alien roommates and the faint hum of Star Trek in the background, he couldn't help but smile. Life had certainly gotten stranger, but maybe that wasn't such a bad thing.